So with the release of FIFA 22 right around the corner, that got me thinking, who is your club's Wonderkid from FIFA 15 and what are they up to these days? Let's find out. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we've got quite an interesting one. We're going to be diving back into FIFA 15 and going through each championship club's Wonderkid, so whoever had the most potential at your club from FIFA 15's evaluation, and we're going to be seeing if any of them actually lived up to their potential. As always, if you do go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. 400 likes on today's video would be massively appreciated, but without any further ado, let's jump into it. Barnsley, James Bree, 75 potential. Now Barnsley's squad on FIFA 15 had quite a few hidden gems, to be honest with you. Quite a few youngsters up and coming, the likes of Mason Holgate, Ben Pearson was on loan there that year. They had Conor Mahoney there as well, but the player with the highest potential by FIFA 15's evaluation was James Bree. After making 50 Barnsley appearances, he then got that move to Aston Villa, where it was then thought that he'd really kick on in his career. Things at Villa didn't quite work out though, and he's since obviously moved to Luton Town, where he's now playing his football in the Championship. Birmingham City, Damian Grace, 79 potential. Now I remember being quite impressed with Damian Grace way back in the day when Birmingham came to play Preston at Deepdale. I thought from that point onwards, okay, yeah, this kid's really got something. After playing for Birmingham, he then made his move to Leicester City, and I actually didn't realise just how much football he actually played for Leicester City. He made 169 appearances there, which is considerably more than I actually thought he did. He then made that move to Bayer Leverkusen when things didn't quite work out from that one season in the Bundesliga, but since moving back to the Premier League and now with Everton, he's really hit the ground running with Rafa Benitez so far this season. Blackburn Rovers, Conor Mahoney, 73 potential. Nowadays he finds himself playing in the Championship for Millwall, and over a full season we always tend to have a few glimpses of Mahoney and what he could potentially be, but I'm not sure whether Gary Rowett is maybe the best manager to fully unlock that potential with Millwall at the moment. His highest goal scoring season up until today is just 2 Championship goals. That's obviously an area of his game that he needs to work on, but yeah, I still think there's something there. It's just not quite been consistently unlocked so far. Blackpool, Brightside Samuel, 70 potential. When Blackpool were going through their troubles, QPR took advantage and picked up Brightside Samuel and probably developed him into one of the most exciting players to watch in the Championship. In his last 2 seasons with QPR especially, he was arguably one of the best dribblers in the league. He was absolutely brilliant, and he also added more end product to his game. After that, he then made his move over to Fenerbahce in Turkey. At the time, I understand why, he wanted to leave. It would have been game-changing money for him and things like that, but I can't help but feel like Isai Samuel in this current QPR setup would be absolutely fantastic. In the summer he was linked to a few transfers, both back to England and to Rangers as well, but he has been a starter for Fenerbahce so far this season. But yeah, at some point I would hope to see him back in England. Bournemouth, Ryan Fraser, 77 potential. Obviously a great player for Bournemouth throughout the years, got promoted with them and had that one especially superb Premier League season in the 18/19 season when absolutely everyone had both him and Callum Wilson in their fantasy football teams. Since making that move over to Newcastle though, he's become a bit more sort of bit pot player and seems to be a little bit wasted there, to be honest. Bristol City, Joe Bryan, 76 potential. Now Bristol City had a cracking squad in League One, and Joe Bryan was really a testament to that. After coming through the youth ranks at Bristol City, he then made his move over to Fulham, who were in the Premier League at the time. They were then obviously relegated back to the Championship, and Joe Bryan was, arguably one of the best attacking fullbacks in the league that season when they were promoted again. He was their hero at Wembley, and still to this day, I know that Robinson's ahead of him in the pecking order for Fulham at the moment, but he's still one of the best fullbacks in the Championship, isn't he? Cardiff City, Matthew Kennedy, 73 potential. Now at the time this seemed to be really quite a good deal for Cardiff. They picked up the youngster from Everton and he seemed to settle in fairly well. They signed him in January and he made 14 appearances between then and the end of the season in the 14-15 season, but after that his game time was really limited at Cardiff. He only went on to make 4 more league appearances for them in the next 3 seasons for the club and was eventually sold to St Johnstone and now finds himself playing for Aberdeen in Scotland. England. Derby County, Will Hughes, 83 potential. Now, if you were around when Will Hughes was coming through at Derby, you'll know all the hype that was surrounding him, and justifiably so. He was part of that midfield three alongside Jeff Hendrick and Craig Bryson, and they just worked so effortlessly together as a trio, didn't they? After leaving Derby, he got his move to Watford, and while he has gone on to forge a decent Premier League career for himself at Watford, and he now finds himself playing for Crystal Palace, he perhaps never has reached those lofty heights that were first thought of him, that he'd go on to be this sort of international superstar for England. Coventry City, James Madison, 74 potential. Now, James Madison is just one of countless examples of the great work that the Coventry Academy has done over the years. After leaving Coventry, he was picked up by Norwich and obviously had that one particular season in the Championship, the 17-18 season, when he absolutely exploded, scoring 15 goals in all competitions from midfield. He was then picked up by Leicester. I think that this season for James Madison is quite a big one actually for him at Leicester, because in terms of sort of like the England setup, he's definitely fallen down the pecking order with the emergencies of the likes of the Jack Grealishes and the Phil Fodens and the Mason Mounts in the last couple of years. It felt at one point like James Madison was like nailed on for that spot in the England setup, but yeah, this season for Leicester I feel like it's quite an important one for Madison. Fulham, Patrick Roberts, 85 potential. The highest potential that we're going to speak about on today's video goes to Fulham's Patrick Roberts. He signed his first professional contract with the club at just 17 years old and was tipped to be the next big thing. You know, Manchester City bought into the hype when they bought him off Fulham. After that, he's then had several loan spells out to different clubs, one at Celtic, Girona, Norwich, Middlesbrough. Last season he found himself at Derby County, where he actually scored a decent goal, and now finds himself out on loan in the French league. But from what was expected of him as a teenager, it's just never really clicked for him anywhere so far. Huddersfield Town's Wayne Holmes, 72 potential. One of the few players that we're going to talk about on today's video who still plays for the club in question. Obviously, he did make that move to Derby, but has since made that move back to Huddersfield Town. Holmes is an interesting one because he's someone who will pop up with sort of moments of quality throughout the season. You know, he may go quiet for like 5 or 6 matches and he'll come up with a match winner out of nothing. Hull City, Andy Robertson, 82 potential. Probably the best player that we're going to talk about on today's video in terms of what they've gone on to achieve since. And I mean, Andy Robertson, since making that move to Liverpool and what Jurgen Klopp's been able to do with him, probably gone on to become like the best left back in the world. I don't think that's too much of an outlandish statement to really make, but yeah, that whole squad looking back on it is absolutely mental. You know, both Harry Maguire and Andy Robertson coming in the same transfer window. Luton Town, Cameron McGeehan, 68 potential. After a couple of really good seasons with Luton in League 2, Barnsley then picked him up, who were in the Championship at the time, and he was really good, especially in Barnsley's promotion season from League 1 after that in the 18/19 season, and then he was then shipped out on loan to Portsmouth, and he now finds himself playing for Oostende in the Belgium First Division. Middlesbrough, Patrick Bamford, 78 potential. Now, Bamford had that original unbelievable loan spell with Borough where he was arguably the best player in the Championship, where he scored 19 goals in all competitions. After a couple more loan spells, he then made that move to Borough on a permanent basis, but probably, I don't think that anyone's proven me probably more wrong than Patrick Bamford did last season, because I rated him as a decent Championship striker, probably a little bit more than that, but even then his goal scoring record could still be a little bit iffy with the amount of big chances he'd missed, but never in my life did I think he'd properly make it as a Premier League striker, and that's obviously a testament to Bielsa at Leeds. But 17 Premier League goals there last season, and now an England international on top of that, so yeah, fair play to him. Millwall, Sid Nelson, 70 potential. Someone who didn't quite live up to the hype at Millwall. He came through the academy there, made 14 appearances in the 14/15 season in the Championship, and then after that only really went on to play a handful of matches. He had several loan spells out before eventually making the permanent move to Tranmere, and he now plays his football for Northampton Town in League 2. Nottingham Forest, Jamal Lascelles, 79 potential. Now, Nottingham Forest always seem to have 1 or 2 players on every FIFA with a really high potential, but on FIFA 15 the player with the highest was Jamal Lascelles, and he's gone on to have really quite a good career actually. Obviously made that move over to Newcastle, won promotion from the Championship with them, and has since gone on to captain them. Peterborough United, Luke James, 74 potential. Now, he came through the youth ranks at Hartlepool, and after having a few good years with them in League 2, 2022, he was picked up by Peterborough in League One. He only went on to score 2 goals though across his Peterborough career. He was loaned out several times before being sold back to Hartlepool, and he now plays his football for Barrow in League Two. Preston North End, Daniel Johnson, 75 potential. One of the few players on today's list who still plays for the club he was at during FIFA 15, but Daniel Johnson's gone on to have a great career with Preston. The other week he scored his 50th goal with North End, obviously signed from Aston Villa for just 50 grand, absolute bargain we picked him up on, and yeah, DJ's been absolutely great for us, you know. He has definitely had his sort of swings of form go up and down, but right now I'd say he's probably our most integral player to the system that we're playing this season. He started this season out like an absolute house on fire, and he scores goals at this level. He also creates them. He's just great. Queen's Park Rangers, Darnell Furlong, 71 potential. If he's not got the giant throwing trait on FIFA 22, then I will be severely disappointed, because he can cause absolute havoc with them coming into the box. I know I was a North End fan from last weekend, but yeah, Furlong's gone on to have a really good career, obviously. Had some good years with QPR, and after that went to West Brom. He's since gone on to play in the Premier League and is now obviously back with them in the Championship, and is probably one of the best fullbacks in the league right now. Reading, Aaron Cole, 77 potential. He's a player who things just didn't really work out for. Obviously Reading have had quite the history now of bringing through some great players through their academy and really building them up, and at the time it was hoped that he'd be next in line for that. In the 14/15 season he made 8 appearances for Reading in all competitions. After that he was sent out on a couple of different loan spells, although after those loan spells it became evidently clear that the player didn't really have what it takes to cut it at this level, and he now finds himself playing for Slough Town. Sheffield United, Harrison McKay, 75 potential. Now he was actually born in Preston, which I didn't know, which I found quite interesting, but yeah, he came up through the youth ranks of Blackburn Rovers. He was then picked up by Liverpool, and then after that he was picked up by Blackpool, who went on to make his senior debut for. After impressing at Blackpool, he then made his switch over to Sheffield United. This was obviously during Sheffield United's time in League One, where he got quite a bit of football, to be fair. Went on to make 34 appearances for the Blades. He was then moved on to Rochdale, then he moved on to Scunthorpe United, and then he's most recently made a move over to Oldham Athletic, where he now plays his football today. Stoke City, Jack Butland, 78 potential. Now, I mean, Butland's a really weird one, because he probably did reach this potential. It's just he wasn't at that level for all too long, and then the drop-off really was quite sharp after that, obviously. Probably the worst thing that ended up happening was probably him sticking around with Stoke in the Championship. You know, his stock dropped off to such a degree in those few years with Stoke in the Championship that by the time, you know, they eventually did get rid of him, his value had completely plummeted, hadn't it? Swansea City, Matt Grimes, 78 potential. Now, obviously, Matt Grimes, another one of the players, one of the few players on this list who still plays for the club they were at during FIFA 15, but I quite like Matt Grimes, really. Obviously, there was loads of speculation linking him with a move away from Swansea this summer, and on transfer deadline day, it looked more than likely that that move to Fulham would materialise, but nothing of the sort happened in the end, and he is still a Swansea player. Gone on to captain them, good midfielder in the Championship. Yeah, I quite like Matt Grimes. West Brom, Sadio Berahino, 82 potential. Probably the biggest case of like wasted potential on today's video that we're going to talk about, actually. Obviously, these days Berahino is playing his football in League One for Sheffield Wednesday. I know that a few Wednesday fans still watch the channel, so you'll have to let me know down below how has he got on for you guys so far. But yeah, I mean, for West Brom at one point, he absolutely exploded. In the 14/15 season, he scored 20 goals in all competitions when they were in the Premier League. But then obviously didn't get the move away from West Brom at the time he wanted. He stuck around for a couple of years, and then his stock just continued to fall off after that. Obviously, he eventually got that move to Stoke, which definitely didn't work out in the end. Now finds himself back in England with Sheffield Wednesday. But there we have it though, guys. There was every Championship club's FIFA 15 Wonderkid and what they're up to these days. Did the Wonderkid from your club live up to their potential in FIFA 15? Let me know down below. And if you'd like to see me do this for any other sort of iterations of FIFA, let me know down below. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, guys. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do stick around for some regular Championship content. Apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.